Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Does anybody know what that music is from? Does anybody? I don't know. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. All right, so it is Friday, the 24th of April, in the year 2020, and we're getting projects done. That's what this little spiel is all about. This is just basically me working on things that are on my to-do list, as far as, just models that I've had sitting around that, I've had every intention to finish and just have not gotten around to finishing. So that's what this show is all about. That's what this stream is all about. And so today, some of you may have noticed on my shelf have sat, well, I've got one right here. I've got this little feller. He's all dusty because I've had him since he came out. Little Funko. And I did adjust the tip on stripping this guy. I'll put it up there after the fact. But anyway, yeah, stripping this model. It's a model. But anyway, he is really, really dusty. So anyway, stripping this model because I was going to repaint it. I picked up two of these guys, and I don't think I had shown really what I had done other after stripping the model, because I primed it in the normal fashion and then began painting it. And I started thinking, okay, and I'm pretty sure I don't have videos on this, so I'm just going to quickly describe it to you guys. But I was typically, my favorite Space Marine chapter is Crimson Fists, but at the time I had seen a lot of Crimson Fists out there, and so I was like, I don't really want to do that. That just seems kind of lame. And so I decided to go the route less traveled, which anybody who knows Chris knows that I'm all about the road less traveled. And so I did him Howling Griffins, which is probably my second favorite Space Marine chapter. So he has sat like this for a large amount of time. Now, when I moved everything from my office, he actually took a spill, and so he's got some wear and tear, like on his toe, on his helmet here. I think that's chip paint, or is it? Might not be. But there's a little nick on his helmet here, and there's also a little nick on his helmet up here. But anywho, Howling Griffins, this is what I'm going to work on. I'm not producing this to a particularly high standard. It's just, lots of bold color, make it look visually interesting. I had some ideas about the weathering. Now, you know what? Here, let's switch cameras. Let's go here. Yeah, there we go. Sorry if some of the lights are in the way, but, such as it is in production. But anyway, so he's still, I can still disassemble him, and his gun comes off here. So I can still take them all apart and still work on areas. And you can see I have some areas where I have shadows laid in. And this was all done mostly by airbrush. And I was toying with the idea of, coming back and fixing some of these areas by airbrush. Like, see this? There's like a little spot on his toe here. I don't know if that's schmutz or if that's... Let's grab an exactly. Since we're pretty much going to have to correct this anyway. Yeah, that's something stuck onto the paint job there. Now, mind you, I've pulled this down to the paint, but that was something stuck there. But mind you now, I've taken the paint off his toe, but there's no big piece of schmutz there. Now it makes me want to look over the entirety of the model. Yeah, see, there's like a bunch of wear, but I think when I was painting him, I think I had residual paint on my finger, and I grabbed a point, and I ended up, mucking it up. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to work on today. Nothing terribly exciting. Oh, look at all this. I don't know if I think that's something stuck again. I thought it was a nick on the armor, but it's something stuck onto him. Must have been one how I packed it, and he was sitting up against something else. Either way, we're taking that down, scratching it pretty much right to the paint job. Now, I could have come in with a really delicate sandpaper and really finesse that, but nah. Again, like I said, like this is not something I'm going to enter into like any kind of competitions or anything like that. I'm not really interested in that. I just want to get it done. Just getting projects done is what I want to do, right? So, yeah. It's fun. I like it. We might also maybe get into a little bit of airbrushing into the eyes, because I definitely wanted to do something with the eyes. Yeah. He needs to be sealed, though, because I don't think he's sealed. And so, I think what we need to do is start busting out some paints. Where are my paints? Okay, well, no, that's not it. That's not it. Where are my paints? Don't worry, I got my paints. Nope. Because basically what I had done was I used golden high flow. Golden paints on him. Because we can probably pretty much use... It should be fine, yeah. Because I have like these two here. And I'm pretty sure that was the highlight, and I might have used this as a bit of the base, building up some of that shadow. You probably can't see it too well on the camera here. Oh, you can see a bit. I had mixed a bit of, what is it, sienna? Burnt sienna? Yeah, burnt sienna. Oh, here's my colors. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this is, yellow light. So that's actually, I probably could use that too in an airbrush. Maybe we'll get into some airbrushing today, because this is the yellow I used, which is Hansa Yellow Medium, and then Naphthol Red Light, and then for the shadows I used Burnt Sienna. Now, these have not been touched in a bit, so I have to give these a really good shake. The really great thing about high flow colors is that they have agitators in them. You can probably hear them rattling around in there. These are fun colors. I like these colors. They're great. These high flow colors are for art pens, airbrush, and regular paintbrush as well. These are just really fun colors. I like painting with these, especially on larger surfaces, but I want to, work on a larger surface, have rich pigment, but also have really thin paint. And so I find these colors really, really fantastic in that regards. And I mean, these are, what are they, 2-ounce bottles? 1-ounce bottles, 30 ml bottles. And the price on them is not terrible. I can't remember what the price is. I think it's like $40 for a set of 5 or 6. But you get a good deal of paint, and a little bit of paint goes a long way. So, yeah. Make sure those are all shook up, because we're going to need those. And I'm going to shake these up too. Now these have sat for a little while. Oof. Yeah, this one here, you can see the medium, or the pigment is sitting right at the bottom. Oof. This actually might take a bit. Might take a long while. Usually I like to turn them upside down. Just be careful not to loosen up your cap there. I usually just tap them in my hand. I do also do this for my airbrush primers as well. I just kind of tap them, taparoo. Yeah, I can see the pigment moving now. I can see the bubbles moving on that surface there. You can kind of see it. So anywho, that's the plan today. I'm going to do a little bit of airbrushing. Maybe a whole lot of airbrushing. I got to build this color back up a bit. I want to fix some of those areas. Now, mind you, I mean, like, where the areas are kind of messed up, where there's a little bit of nicking and chipping, I could just use that and, you know, create some weathering on this guy. That is an option. I don't know if I'm super excited about that, but yeah, I can see light poking through here. You can see, can you see it? Yeah, you can see there's light. Let me see if I can get a shadow over that area. Yeah, you can see the pigment there. See right there, you can see light poking through. Anyway, enough about that. We are going to use the Renegade Chrome to apply some fine airbrushing here. Now, mind you, I have a bunch of things on my desk here, and I usually put up a little barrier just to kind of stop the overflow. So, another reason why I often recommend not having a lot of things on your desk, especially your work area, not having a lot of projects on your desk. Whereas, like, right now you can see, like, I've got a whole bunch of little things on the go at the moment. Oh, there is an agitator in this one. I just felt it come loose. I can hear it. So anyway. Oh, yeah, there's the agitator. I knew we'd find it eventually. What else do we got here? Oh, we got some gold, tons of golden airbrush medium. So we'll be going through a lot of that. Well, not a lot. I don't know, it all depends. Gonna need my silly putty because we'll probably mask off some areas. Grab my flushing water here. It's taken us a little while to get into the actual nitty-gritty of the paint today, but that's fine because we're not in any rush. It's a Friday. I'm starting this show a little late today. I usually try and do this show at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard, but just as things were today, I didn't get around to it until I'm recording this as of 1 p.m. All right, I think that's thoroughly mixed. Feels pretty good. Yeah, I can see the air bubbles on the bottom of the jar. Yeah, if you can see the air bubbles, you don't see any more pigment setting. It's thoroughly mixed. So that color is thoroughly mixed. Now this one here looks like I had a leak at some point. Big old doggy hair stuck to it too. I don't know what the hell's going with that. But this one here, yeah. Yeah, you can see the pigment right there. There's a little line. See the pigment sitting there? So this is going to have to get shook as well, because I do need this color. Because this one is, I'm pretty sure what I was using for the shot. Oh yeah, the agitator came loose right away. Grim! It's all good and hello. Hello, Grim. Hello! Yeah, let's give this a little shaky for a bit. Where am I? Okay. Turn that. Turn that. All right. Sorry, I'm just farting around with stuff there. La, da, 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 da. Not quite there yet. Oh, I can see the bubbles, but we're not quite there yet. All right. It's often why I tap the bottle as well, just so that the agitator kind of just really gets jostled around inside there. But again, you got to be careful, because you don't want the cap coming out and then paint spilling everywhere. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So, grab my airbrush. Move this over here. So, as we're working today, you're invariably going to hear my compressor kick in every once in a while. That is an unfortunate side effect of airbrushing, but too bad. Currently have my Patriot 105 attached to it. Don't need it right now, obviously. What am I at? Oh, I'm a little over 30. Jeez Louise. Let's come down a bit. Let's go about 20. Just over 20. Usually before I start painting, I usually put a couple drops of water in my brush. I ease the needle back. And just make sure everything's flowing properly. That looks good. Grab some paper towel. Oop, jeez Louise. I probably should go grab a latex glove, just so I'm not covering myself in paint. Oh, right, and I don't have a barrier up either, so I need a barrier. See, I was really well prepared for streaming today. Yeah, because I started working on, I'm looking at the wrong window here. I started working on this guy, doing an obsidian. Anyway, who cares about that, right? Yeah, let's use this little guy as our barrier. This is typically what I use as a little barrier, just protect the miniatures and such. I usually don't spray too high, so I'm just keeping that in the way. Again, like I said, to act as a barrier for the overspray, because it'll be spraying mostly downwards, so it'll be spraying on this surface here. This is just a piece of glass that I use as a palette in videos. Big whoop. Okay. So, oh, right, I'm going to go grab a glove. Right back. Talk amongst yourselves. All right. Oh. So like I said, I'm not too concerned about, going into too much detail on this guy. It's more concerned with just kind of getting them done. So let's grab. Let's use the head for the moment. Put the body and such over here. Gun we could just leave right there for the moment. Don't really need these paints in the way. All right. So, like I said, there's a little bit of schmutz going on here. There's a little bit of wear and tear there. Let's grab a little bit of painter's tape so we can preserve that line. And I just use regular old green painter's tape. And what I usually do is I just run my thumb along the sticky side of it just to remove, as long as your hands are clean, of course. Just run my fingers through just to remove a bit of the tackiness out of it, because sometimes, depending on what kind of brand you're using, the painter's tape can be very adhesive and just kind of really mess your work up. End up just pulling that layer of paint off. So let's go with right there. Or something. Piss off. Just trying to preserve that line there. Now, grab another piece, and we will take a bit of the tackiness off, like I said. And I'm just going to put another piece right on this side here, just so that I'm not catching any of the red when I move over there. As a lot of you may or may not know, when you're airbrushing, it is a lot of prep work. Good airbrushing is a lot of prep work. As anybody who does a significant amount of airbrushing will tell you, it's always a lot of prep work. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way, just because. All right. Let's use the Hensa Yellow Medium. It's a really fantastic color. Nice and vibrant. I'm pretty sure that's what I used to bring up the high points. Although I could have added a bit of white to it. Or maybe, no, did I even use this yellow light? I might not even use that bottle. It's been sitting there since I bought it. So we're just going to throw in a couple drops of paint. We're only spraying it around 20 psi. It's not sitting on there as opaque as I would like. I think I might have used a white in there because it seems like this color is kind of becoming very saturated. Yeah. Okay. So I am going to use a bit of this color here. I'm going to just chuck it right into that little mixture. Just check my seal here. Yeah, I haven't even used this bottle. That's why the pigment was so bad. Oop, oh well. But, like you saw at the beginning here, I gave this all a very thorough mix. I should just spray off the excess. There we go. Yeah. So we're just going to use some of this. This is actually a bit lighter than the medium, or the yellow medium. And so let's have a look here. It's actually got a really good opacity to it. And I suppose it should, because it does say opaque at the top. Hellman kicks open door. Greetings. Greeting, Hellman. Yeah. Whereas Hints of Yellow doesn't really show high flow doesn't really show that if they're opaque, like their opacities. They give you the light fastness, but they don't really. I mean, like, they do these colored bars, and they always do these colored bars to give you an idea of how strong, how opaque the paint is. And you can see here, like, this is actually fairly opaque. But anyway. This is actually sitting on top of the color much better now. I don't know if you can see it that well on the camera, but I am building up the yellow tones. An Imperial Fist. No! It's a red and yellow. What do you think? What chapter is that? You tell me. What chapter is that? Red and yellow. I'm sure you'll just Google it if you don't know, but... But yeah, I'm going to basically lay this in as the highlight again, since it is significantly lighter. I am a little bit curious to see, curious to see if I add a little bit of white to it and bring the color way up, and then put like maybe a yellow back on top, kind of a yellow, clear yellow. I don't know. I kind of want to hit the face, but I don't, because I didn't mask that face off. But because I was more concerned with trying to correct these little boo-boos that were happening here, but now I kind of want to hit those areas. And I actually want to come in with something a little bit more opaque. And I'm thinking that a bit more white might be in order. Which is why I'm thinking of using like a clear yellow on top of this. Now, is there? Oh yeah, the foot on this guy. Yeah, so the body, the foot has got the little nick out of it. And I'm thinking now that I probably should just hit it with an opaque white before... screw it, let's hit it with the yellow. Yeah, like a couple layers of opaque yellow might be able to fully correct that. Oh. More than likely. There's a little spot on his hand here. I'm going to use my fingers as a rough mask so that I don't get too much color anywhere. Try anyway. Yeah. Yeah, we'll give that a few moments to dry. I am thinking though, let's add some white to this. Let's see if we can increase the opacity. Hellman 28. I don't know, but I do like the Angry Marines. The Angry Marines? Yeah, Grim, it's Howling Griffins. That's correct. Correctamundo. Howling Griffins. Alright, we're grabbing some white. I do have more of this white. It's titanium white. These are all golden high flow colors I'm using. Again, like I said, the only reason I'm using the high flow colors is because I like them. But when I'm doing a lot of airbrushing, especially on larger surface stuff, I just like them. It doesn't make sense to use a lot of smaller bottles, especially if you're going to do like a large number of big projects. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, we're going to add a couple drops of white here. This should increase the opacity because white is pretty opaque. Got it on my finger. So we're just going to add, let's add about 4 or 5 drops. Let's use this brush. Oh, that's on my finger. Give this a little mix. I mean, we probably could just come in with a bit of regular white and, you know, bring the color up a bit more, tinting it as it were. But I don't know, I might do that anyway. Yeah, it's much creamier white or yellow now. It's almost like an Easter yellow, like Easter eggs. Let me spray a large chunk of this off because whatever's sitting in the nozzles. There we go. Yeah, you can see that's much different on the palette. You can see how much brighter that is. So let's come in. So I'm trying to concentrate more of the brush right in the division line, and then right here on the edge, and then I'll catch a little bit more right here, but I want to concentrate more in the middle, and then of course I'll lay a little bit more right here. Now try and catch just this edge without getting all this. I'm just angling the head, just kind of like you can see on the camera here how, you know, you can't see the rest of the forehead. Well, because the paint travels in a straight line, we can use that almost like a mask essentially, right? So basically I'm trying to lay in this little L shape right here. And that's just the highlight. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it actually. Yeah, it's a little intense, but anyway. Yeah, actually that's not too bad. And because it is pretty opaque, it is covering up stuff nicely. There still is this nick here, but I don't know, I'm getting to a point where I don't really you know, care too much anymore. I just often just kind of speed the dry up a bit, is just, you know, put the airflow on it sometimes, or you can just grab your hair dryer. Oh my god, there was white on my frickin' thumb and I hit the damn ear. Son of a bitch. Okay, well now I'm kind of pissed off. I did not see that there was white paint on my thumb. Frickin' frick. Oh. Greenleaf Terrain Studio. Boo Badger Brushes. Okay. gotta blow all sorts of stuff away here now. Alright. Yeah, I frickin' hit the frickin' ear. Frickin' frick. Frickin' frick. That pisses me off. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. I'm really pissed off. Stand up. Stand up. Kind of annoyed still. I'm still very annoyed. I guess while that's setting, come over here, hit the foots. The foot. Let's hit the shoulder pad too. Catch a bit of this backpack. Just like that. I want to get that angle, but I guess we could just use the paper towel. And just, yeah, do that. Let's use it as an impromptu mask. I'm just going to spray down the arm, just like so. Just so I don't get any of the red. Just like that. That is mostly okay. Still kind of pissed off about hitting this area with the white though. I mean, I can mask the areas and get those spots out. Question is, do I really want to? I kind of want to hit the face here and get a little bit more brightness there. Ah, son of a beehive. Let's do it. Okay. So we're just looking to just protect a bit of this face here. So I will lay this under this mask. this. And then lay this right on the middle. Actually, let's come up a bit. Let's do it the other way. Yeah, like that. Let's do it that way. Let's go like something like that. And that should preserve that line like that. There we go. That still looks wet there. Anyway, let's curl this in so we don't catch on anything. Correcting that stuff there, I'm gonna have to dump the rest of this. I'm gonna have to flush because I want to come in with a more saturated color. Oh. Jeez, wait, that's taking forever. Just dump the cup out. Airbrushing. It's so messy at times. All right. Got a little space here. Just spritz a little bit of Windex into it. I think I let the paint sit in there a little too long. I am going to switch over to some of this this yellow. Now, make sure it's flowing right. Feels good. Oh yeah, there's nothing on the bottom. No sediment. Yeah, I don't know. To me, that still looks very wet. Right on there, you can see there's little bright spots. I am going to hit that with the dryer for a bit. Actually, let's use this bit too. Let's multitask. While we're drying, let's make sure our paint's thoroughly shook. Now, I'm pretty sure when I did the yellow medium, I added burnt sienna to it, just to push it towards the brown side of things. Because I figured the brown yellow would, mix pretty well with, the red side of the model, right? Now then, let's grab this yellow. Check a little bit in. Not too much. Don't really need that much. Yeah, I don't think I use this because this has got a very golden quality to it. See, it's a lot different than this yellow here. But as our shading color, it might work. Especially if I start... Let's see if I can lose a little bit down here. Yeah, just a bit. I probably should turn the PSI down a bit, but it is accomplishing what I want. You can see we're strengthening up that shadow line along the, I don't know, whatever the hell that intake is on the side of their helmets. Now then, I do want a bit more under the bridge of the nose here. A little bit under the eye there. Just kind of help that transition out a bit more. Let's come in here. So all I'm doing is I'm just kind of building up some of these shadows here on the side. Strengthening up that shadow there now. Kind of defining that edge. I do want to catch a little bit more right here. This color is actually pretty decent. It's sitting on top of like what I had laid out initially with the sienna, and it's actually blending pretty nicely. It's pushing a bit more towards the gold side of things, but I'm okay with that. Creating a bit of gradient here. that's not horrible. I do want to throw just a bit more down. That's not horrible. I am going to turn the PSI down a bit though, because I want to get into that little nook right around there. Down to about 10 PSI. Basically want to reestablish that shadow that runs right outside that inner ring, right over that metal bit. Just like that. Just reestablish that. Now seeing the white that I accidentally hit, it's kind of pushed back now. It's not quite as bright. I could probably even leave it as such if I really wanted to. Not, but if I wanted to. Let's see here. Been using this as a stencil. Still got tons of cobwebs everywhere. Just playing with cobwebbing. I just want to spray that a little bit more. I don't want to touch it too much though, because I'm afraid of messing that up. Yeah. Hit that a little too much, but that's okay. It's very, very subtle. It is not terribly obvious. Pushes it more towards the gold side of things, but that is okay. So we're going to leave that for a moment. I'm just going to set that over here. Let me see. Once it's not in the bright lights, it definitely takes on a different appearance. I don't know if you guys can see that. It gets kind of bright camera. But it's definitely more on the golden side of things, which is I'm okay with, because we can put more brown into that and push that towards more of the brown yellow side of things. So now I'm just going to come in with the foot, and I'm just going to establish the shadow in there. I still have the PSI way down. I'm not thinning it out at all. All I'm doing is I'm just trying to aim for the corners here. Something like that, just create a little bit more shadow in that toe. Where else do we need those shadows? Have all sorts of overspray in here. Oh, I guess on the shoulder pad too. A little bit in that shoulder pad detail. You can see some other areas, like see with the sienna, it pushed almost to, like when you mix it, it almost pushed towards an orange, and then of course next to the red it looks really orange, which is why I think I might come in with a bit more of a darker color and push that down a little bit further. But let's continue on with our original plan here, just reestablishing some of these yellow points. But yeah, I think that's okay on the foot there. Just like that. Just a bit of shadow. Zip TV. How important would you say purchasing an airbrush is for model painting? It's not important. You don't have to have an airbrush to get into miniature painting, or now if you were like, say, a commission service and and that was your aspiration, is to get paid for painting miniatures. Oh, just turn the PSI up. Then an airbrush definitely will speed your process up, but you can paint miniatures quickly, even just with regular paintbrush. So, is it important? No, it's not important. Will it make your life easier? In some aspects, yes. Will it speed up your process? In a lot of aspects, yes. But as I was saying at the beginning of the stream, a lot of airbrushing miniatures is a lot of prep. Tons of prep work, because you got to mask off areas, and you're sealing, and between layers sometimes, and so there's a lot of steps versus like just slapping the paint onto the miniature with just a paintbrush. So yeah, but is it important? No, it's not important at all. It's just another tool, really. That's all it is. Okay, so that was that. So let's come back to the helmet. So we have the helmet here. You can see. And so now I want to reestablish some of those yellows back on some of these areas here. And then I think I'll leave this alone. Now there's this mess right here on the back of the helmet. I think I touched that at one point with dirty finger, but I've already done that a few times already. And really, realistically, I should have like this in my fingers, but I just find it easier. I find a secure grasp like that. Anywho, all right, we're going back to the Henza Yellow. This one right here. Oh, excuse me. Not too much. I'm going to turn the PSI down. I turned it back up just so I can flush the airbrush. But I'm turning it back down so I can get some of this area here. I will simply, I'm just going to use my thumb to mask off the areas. So I'm going to spray straight in and use my thumb as this curvature so that I don't hit any other areas that I don't want to hit. So I just grab a little bit of yellow and then simply start laying it down. So I'm aiming right there, and I'll come over here. Let's get this angle. Just like that. That. There. That's actually not terrible. You want to spray a bit more of this yellow here. Just re-establishing some of this base tone here. Some other areas. Now I'm hitting other areas that I've kind of already painted. You can see like in the hoses here, I've already done like little highlights and stuff. I'm not too concerned about that, as I can easily come back over and just, correct that. So I'm not, too precious about that stuff. I do want to hit the top of that thing. Okay. I think that's okay. So this part here is got to fix that red. There's chipping there. Well, it's not chipping. I mean, you saw me earlier. I pulled at it and wrecked it. But anyway. Okay. I think for the most part that is okay. So, flush this color. this off. Zip TV. I've been into the hobby for a few years now, but never dived into airbrushes. Has never felt the need. I love the look of results, but thought it looked like a lot of work or investment. A lot of work. It all depends. Investment, yes, there is an investment in this, and you know, if your goal is just to paint miniatures and this is a hobby and you're just looking to have fun, yeah, don't worry about airbrushing. There seems to be this notion that airbrushing makes you a better artist. I'm not sure where that comes from, but yeah. Because in my experience, airbrushing just tends to all look the same. Everybody who does a lot of airbrushing, you can it's hard to distinguish the artist's brushstroke, which is often the telltale sign of, you know, really great artists. You know, you can see their process, what they did to get about doing their pieces, right? And when something's airbrushed a lot, it loses a lot of the not the humanity, but it loses a lot of something about the artist. Versus when that artist simply uses their brush, applies the color, you can see their brush strokes, because that's really what it is a lot of times is with an airbrush, it removes a lot of the brush strokes, which is why way back in the day for photographs, you know, it was used a lot in beauty photography and stuff like that, because it can smooth out you know, features and such, right? What was I going to do? Let's take some burnt sienna. We could add a bit of black. Do I have a darker? I do have a darker brown. We got one of my favorite, raw umber. Where the hell is that? I'm gonna go grab that. Just give me a sec here. Ooh. Damn it. Oh yeah, here's where all my golden colors are sitting. Come on. Oh, I can't pull this freaking drawer. Oh, I need more room. I need more space. Sorry, folks, I'm trying to grab paints here. I have a whole bunch of golden paints. I have this really fantastic one here, Shading Gray. Gives you like a translucence, but I don't want to use that. Not on the yellow anyway. I'm looking for my... No, that's carbon black. Oh, we got a lot of carbon black there. Sweet. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, matte medium. Ooh, I didn't realize I got a matte medium. I'm going to keep that on hand because we'll probably seal him in matte. Oh. Ooh, I got a turquoise phthalo. It's probably the last frickin' color. Yeah, there it is, raw umber. What's the other color here? Oh, my God. Oh, blue. Yeah, Carillion blue. I was thinking of maybe we do the eyes in the blue. What are the Howling Griffins? How do they get painted? I don't even recall what the eye gets colored. Anyway, this is my favorite right here, raw umber. It's got a nice, well, it's a transparency, and it sits right on top of the color. We can see how nice and dark it gets. I think what we'll do is, I'm just going to make sure it's thoroughly mixed. Yeah, it looks good. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed before I get right into this. I'm just going to go just for some extreme corners and such. I probably should mask off some of the areas a bit more, but I mean, if I'm really, you know, that wound up about it, I can always come in by, you know, regular paintbrush and just kind of fix it up or spend a bunch of time masking off areas. I was going to show you guys something fun today if I get around to the eyes. But as I've been doing the yellow and reestablishing some of this color here, we might get to it today. What time are we at? Holy moly's, I've already been on it for an hour. These are Ultramarines' successor, right? I can't remember their name though. Howling Griffins, yeah. Yeah, these are the Howling Griffins. Not Peter Griffin. Howling Griffin. My razor just went flying out of my tool tray. Alright. We're still nice low PSI. Don't really need that bottle there. Oh. Yeah, so this is a project that's been sitting on my desk for a while. And I'm finally just now getting around to it. Just going to put a couple drops here of raw umber. Yeah, these are transparent raw umber. These are a lot of fun. Again, like I said, golden. I like golden paints. Yeah. Oh, there's a big clot on it. Dry tip. Always got to be careful with the dry tip. Normally I wouldn't recommend using an X-Acto blade to remove this, but just the first thing I grabbed. What the PS am I at? Yeah, I'm down around 10. Yeah, that should be fine. Zap TV. I remember when I first looked at starting a Space Marine army. I loved the color of these guys, but thought that the color scheme was way beyond my skills. Yeah, it is a bit intimidating, especially when you're looking at like regular little Space Marines doing this, bifurcated color scheme. But when you get a whole unit of them done, it looks really kick-ass. I often recommend people just, give it a try. And you'll see, that a lot of times what was something that you were very afraid to try, looks really awesome and was actually not as difficult as you thought. And also the other one that I often recommend for a lot of people is don't be afraid to try and don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail at this. Give it a try. Nobody is perfect the first time they try this. So, just some advice. Here's my stencil here. I'm gonna try and just get just inside this little vent area here. Just like that. Just build that out. I'm gonna lay a little bit inside of this space here, inside his brow. For that, because it's a nice little L shape, I probably should use a mask. I only have one of these. So, we'll just do it by hand. It's great. We'll do it live. We're not using much anyway. Mostly just going around the islands. Come down by the helmet here. Yep. Just like that. Just a little bit. Just to bring a bit more contrast into there. Now this, I do want to strengthen up that line there. So I am going to use this card here as a impromptu mask. Hopefully it doesn't chip the paint off. Normally I would do a sealing phase, like seal the model. There we go. It's a little bit better. It's not too bad. Gives a nice little bit of contrast there. Again, if I find it too stark, I can always come in and correct that later. Just like that. Let's do the inside corner here. My thumb just a bit. Yeah, just right there. Do that inside corner there. For this, we probably can use the card here just to maintain that line. Probably should use tape, but screw it. I'm not too concerned about it. I lied, I am concerned about it. There. It's a little bit stark. It's alright, I suppose. See, if you linger a little too long, you get little splatters. Probably can't see it on the camera, but there's tiny little frickin' splatters going on here. Kind of want to bring this darkness over here a bit more. You frickin' dry tip. Where's my toothbrush? Oh, my toothbrush is in the other room. Frick. I'm getting a little speckling going on here. Again, like I think what it is now, I'm overthinking things, and I'm just kind of, So with that, I'll leave that helmet alone for a few moments. We'll come back to that. Yeah, it's a little too stark. I'm looking at it outside the light now, and it's looking a little too stark. Old man Logan, there he is. What's happening? Zip TV, looks awesome. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I wouldn't agree yet. I would not agree yet. Also, the fun part about using this burnt sienna, or raw umber, I should say, is that I can also do the red at the same time. Like I can come in here, like under the shoulder pad here, and just lay in a little bit of shadow. Come in. And the grills. Kind of thing. It's fun. But like I said earlier, Zip, do you need an airbrush? No. Is an airbrush handy? Yes. Is it essential? No. We might have to switch to more opaque colors. I think that's what's bugging me here. Is these golden colors are sitting a little too light on the surface. Whereas if I started off with, say, like a white, which I think is what I'd started off with, you know, I'd be much happier. But I think I'm going to have to bust into some more opaque colors soon. But yeah. So we'll dump that little bit of raw umber. Old Man Logan, just working on more Sigmarines, focusing on brush strokes and smooth coats to stave off the boredom. Just taking my time. Yeah, exactly, right? Zit TV, for someone who wanted to play or wanted to paint Howling Griffin Space Marines, how would you recommend doing the bi-color color scheme? I have shown it in videos, other video tutorials, but in a nutshell, when doing like multicolored on a single model, I definitely would start with the brightest color. So, for example, this Howling Griffin color scheme, most of this model was primed and base coated yellow, and then I laid the red on. And basically, all I did was I laid the tape down, just like I did with the helmet here. And I used that as a masking tool to protect, you know, what's there. And, you know, in fact, you know what? Let's pull the mask off. This should be plenty dry by now. Yeah, that's dry. Make sure there's no schmutz on my fingers here. But yeah, start off with the brightest color and then build to your darker color. And you can see here, like under the helmet here, you can see I was yellow first and then I laid the red in. But I wasn't too concerned about, you know, separating the yellow and red underneath the helmet because, you know, for the most part, I mean, nobody's going to see that. And if I really want, I could come in with black or gray or something and fill that in and, you know, I mean, create some more contrast. But yeah. Yeah, I'm not 100% on that gradient in there. We might fix that. But I'm going to separate up this mask here because I want to start working on some other color. I was like, oh no, he's coming apart. But oh yeah, I took him apart. So you can see how we preserved our line, right? Just by, you know, carefully masking off the area. But like I said earlier, a lot of airbrushing is preparation, right? A lot of time it is just preparation. So he's starting to come together, but I think I need to switch to more opaque colors since I'm building up layers. And I think I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to have to start laying in some, you know, start laying in some details, some edge highlighting, stuff like that. You know, the usual stuff. Honestly, though, where he's at right now, I'm mostly okay with. And in fact, we could probably start laying in those details pretty soon. There is still some areas on him that are kind of mucked up. Like there's a little spot right here on his helmet. You know. Yeah. There's a lot of things on this guy that, you know, I would like to do a little bit cleaner, but whatever. I don't know. We'll take our time, I guess. You know, this is getting projects done. It's not getting projects done quickly. It's just getting projects done. So. Zip TV, masking off 28mm Space Marine sounds like a damn fiddly task. Yeah, like doing that and masking off the areas, yeah, that can be a bit of a hassle. And so I really, it's not for the faint of heart to sit there and, put a bunch of masks down on a bunch of Space Marines. It's possible, and it's not that difficult, because you can use, for example, you could use, you could even use like a liquid mask and just create that separate, because all you're looking to do when you're masking off is you don't have to mask off the entirety of the area. You just need to mask off where that straight line's going to be. But doing it by hand, like I said, I have videos on it. Doing it by hand, you just simply draw. All you got to do is just carefully draw in that center line, and then fill everything in, and that's it. Just get it nice and smooth. And as long as you know how to lay down a nice smooth base coat, you can accomplish it very easily. And in fact, if you were going to build, let's say, a whole army of these guys, and you want to get it done in relatively short order so that you can play with them on the tabletop, the fastest way I can think of doing it is you prime them all yellow, right? Or you prime them white, base coat them yellow. You use a spray or whatever, or do it by hand, whichever it is, as long as you can lay it down nice and smooth. Then very carefully you take the red and you lay down your center line where the bifurcation will happen, and then you just simply lay in a nice smooth base coat onto the red portion. Now with the Howling Griffins, it is kind of a crisscross, right? So you can see the yellow here, right? Red, yellow, right? And in fact, even it is only really like the chest, maybe the groin. It's really a lot in the helmet. Just getting that bifurcation in the helmet, having the two colors like that, because, maybe the backpack as well. The backpack, you have to draw that center line down there. Because, doing the legs, you can just simply come in with red on the leg. Paint the yellow on that leg, paint the red on that leg, and, you have your two tones, right? It's only when you get into where the two colors are visible and they butt up against each other. So, again, it's not that hard. If you're doing it on 28 millimeter, it's not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of time. And, really the hard part about doing that line on the helmet is you want to see where the center is. You have to visualize that center. And then if you did all yellow and you're going to come in with the red, just visualize that center, and then just a hair, just the tiniest amount of distance over to where the red is going to be, and then lay that red line in, and then fill the rest of the red in. Then, of course, once you've done that, you can always apply a shade wash over the entirety of the model, especially for the yellow and red. Shade washing it in, say, like Agrax Earthshade, or taking like a contrast color, you can even use, Agrax, let's just keep it simple. Let's just say Agrax Earthshade. You take Agrax Earthshade, thin it down a bit, and apply that over the entirety of the model, and that will give you all your varying tones on the yellow and the red. And if you really need to come back and pick out edges, you can always do that as well. Again, it really depends upon how much you want to bring it up, bring that paint job up, right? And, do something really spectacular, right? Zip TV, thanks for your advice, man. You've inspired me to give it a try and give it a go. What platform is the video on you mentioned you done it? It should be on YouTube, but it most likely is in Mini Wargaming's Vault. If you're a Mini Wargaming Vault member subscriber. If you're not, then yeah, you might not be able to access it. Of course, in the future, I can always end up creating another YouTube video doing it. I don't think I did it on my channel. If you just go to waythebrush.com, you'll see all the links for all my usual crap. But anywho, let's get back to work here. We're going to grab some Nafal Red Light. Now, this is the regular high flow. Is my other one the same, or is it opaque? Oh, which one is this one? That's Nafal Red Transparent. And this is opaque. But are they the same? They look pretty darn close. You can see how they do these little swatches here on their bottles. They actually take a bit of the paint and swipe it over the label. to give you an idea of what the color is. And honestly, the opaque actually does look a little stronger. The black here on the high flow is showing back more black, whereas this one, it's sitting more opaque on there. So you know what? I'm going to use this red. Make sure it's all shook up. Actually, it's not really that thin. Zip TV. Yeah, I'm a long-time Silver Vault member. I used to really enjoy your painting videos on there. I didn't realize you were live streaming these days. Glad I stumbled across you. Yeah. Well, I don't work for Mini Wargaming anymore. I haven't worked for them since summertime, so I'm independent these days. But I'm still doing my thing. What's up? Oh, haircut time? You know, you can talk, you know. I mean, if you're going to sit here and disturb me while I'm doing my stream, I mean, you can talk.
I got it fixed up a little bit.
I don't even notice.
Oh, you notice right here, see?
What?
It's trimmed up a little bit.
Is it trimmed? Yeah. I can't tell. He's got a big scruffy beard. Scruffy. It looks like a Brillo pad glued to your face.
It's quarantine.
It's quarantine. It's a quarantine beard? It's the quarantine beard? Alright. So, I think that's plenty shook. Let's come in here. Bust out the red. Now, I'm not going to worry about masking off the yellow because we shouldn't be coming too close to it. And I'm not running very high PSI. I just want to re-solidify some of the... you know what? I start doing that and I might end up throwing in highlights. Yeah. Alright, screw it. Let's just take a little bit of this. Not much. And I'm still at about 10 PSI. Let's come in. Start laying a little bit down. Yeah. Oop. I picked him up and I didn't realize his head was still detached. Yeah, there we go. I think I did start laying down highlights. Because this red looks a lot more saturated than what was on here. Yeah, there's like schmutz or something stuck. What the frick? Okay, I'm going to just use the card here as a mask. Because I'm going to spray just a little bit on this forehead. Right there. And there. Just like that. Mask it off. But I am noticing a difference in saturation. Should be okay. Yeah, I think I might have to switch to more opaque color. That went down just fine. Yeah. That's alright. Alright, the foot. Forgot all about the foot. Zip TV. Yeah, I heard at the time. It's a shame it didn't work out, but damn, you being there a long while, right? Yeah, I was at Mini Wargaming for 8 years, 9 years, going on 9, something like that. I worked for the company since 2011, and it was 19, so 8 years. There we go. So you can just fix that little nick right there. I really should have masked off those areas. You can see there's a little bit of overspray in the yellows and stuff, but big whoop. Shoulder pad looks okay. For the most part, everything looks pretty darn okay. And I definitely think I should start switching over to a more opaque colors. It's like there. I'm going to try and catch that knee pad. Catch that knee pad, but I don't want to catch the yellow. So I'm just going to spray just right inside there. Just like that. Just like that. Yeah, we'll leave that for a few moments. We corrected that little error on the foot. Yeah, the opaque red is fine. Although I do wish that there was I don't want to disturb the red too much, because I like that nice rich tone, and because he's so darn big, so I think what it is I got to push some of the values back a bit, and so let's go with the in between. Let's add a little bit of raw umber into our opaque phthalo red. I'm actually going to add a fair amount to it. It's about 5 or 6 drops in there. Just add that in. Give it a good mix. Gives us a I'm trying to think what color that is. Shut up. I can't even think of the color. It's really kind of fabulous. But we're going to create a little bit of shadows here. Now again, I'm still working at around 10 psi. So let's start laying some more of this color down. So that bright red. Come on. There it is. There's that darker tone. There we go. So, we'll do it right on the face here. We'll use this right over the brow. Oh, there's frickin' nicks right there on the helmet. Damn it. Oh well. Ugh. Yeah, there we go. Try not to apply too much pressure so that I don't end up, Yeah. Doesn't look too bad. Actually kind of matches the other side a bit more now. Now there's a bit more depth in that face section. Although I do want to get a little bit more in here. Yeah, right in here. In the corner. It's not bad. I think I want to come up just a bit more here. Just a bit. Zap TV, what's been your favorite thing to paint recently? Favorite thing to paint recently? I don't know. I'm currently working on this guy. He's a relic blade model. And doing it up like an obsidian stone, almost like gemstone. So like he's made of stone and he's made of gem. So I've been painting him. Tutorials to follow soon. Actually, my patrons will actually get access to that early. But yeah, that's the current thing. Nothing else really. I had a lot of fun doing the corpse grinders. That was a fun one to do. Throwing a little more shadow right there in the earpiece. I can probably use a little bit more up here too. Yeah, let's throw a little bit right in here. Oh shit, I got a little bit right there. Damn it. Damn it. Didn't see that angle. Now we're going to come back in with the red now. Yeah. Not bad. I'm going to throw a little bit more there. Just to bring out that curvature. Just like that. Just a bit. You know what? Other than just hitting that little spot, I'm mostly okay with that. Mostly. Holy camoles. 20 minutes left. 20 minutes left? Where does the time go? Oh, excuse me. I don't know if my head was in that shot the whole time, but but either way. think that's it for that red. I have to come back with the other red though, because I got to correct that little boo-boo I just made on the helmet there. You see a little darker tick right there. Got to fix that. Got to fix it. Otherwise it'll annoy the hell out of me. I get annoyed just because my compressors are sitting on the opposite side of me, and so it makes it annoying when flushing. Oh, I gotta turn the PSI up. Whenever I flush, I always turn the PSI back up. Na 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 na. Zip TV, what inspired you to paint this little guy then? Well, he's been sitting on my desk since these guys came out, and I always had the intention of painting it. I mean, when I started this, it was already done, and then, you know, it just sat. And if you've ever watched Way the Brush, I mean, you've probably seen it sitting on my desk here for like the longest time. So I figured today, you know, start painting it. I'm actually kind of getting a hankering to weather it, but I like the clean look of the yellow and black, or the yellow and red, yellow and black, cracking up. I like that look. I don't know, something about him is kind of telling me to weather him. I don't know if I really want to, but I might. I don't need that much red to correct this. I'm going to lay a few layers of it down. Got some paint on my fingers, of course. So, I do want to try and be careful not to hit anything. And I'm going to use this card here just to make sure I don't hit too much of the model. Give that a second to dry. Can you even still see it anymore? It's pushed back a bit. Another couple layers should be fine. But then I'll have this really saturated point, and I can see that I must have added maybe a bit of white or something to the paint. See, this Nafal red that I'm using, for anybody who's not familiar with these colors, this Nafal red is a bit like Evo Sun Scarlet, which is about a mid-tone red, which I really, really am a big fan of. And I'm wondering now if I should use something like... I wonder, do I have Evo Sun Scarlet in Citadel Air? Not Evil Sun Scarlet. Wild Rider Red. I've got Troll Slayer Orange. I don't know if I want to use an orange though. Artificer paints. If anybody remembers these tiny little paint bottles. Still have these guys. I don't know if I want to take Troll Slayer Orange, and we might just use the regular Citadel variety and create a highlight color. Maybe we'll remask the yellow and we'll build up a highlight just on the top of the helmet here. Maybe just on the toe. Alright, let's come back in. don't know. Can you guys still see that little dark spot? Kind of. But it's not too bad now, though. But yeah. I kind of want to hit it with something. Old Man Logan, so what are your thoughts on the new Scale 75 Kickstarter, Chris? Basically contrast? Yeah, I've mentioned that before. In fact, I think I mentioned it on their Facebook post. That I imagine this is their iteration of contrast. Yeah, it's contrast. I mean, everybody's going to create it. I mean, I'm surprised Vallejo has not done it. And I mean, like, you know, the video I made making a shade wash out of any color, anybody can create colors that work just like Citadel contrast. Anybody can do it. You can make it with all the paints that you have. No matter what paint range it is, you can do it. So, there's nothing magical about it. Yeah, I'm going to take Wild Rider Red. I'm going to grab some Wild Rider Red. And, what should we break it down with? I'm not going to use the golden airbrush. But yeah. Old Man Logan, I have used this contrast medium to do just that with other paints. Yeah, I showed it. I showed that in the video when these things came out. I mean, I end up sounding like a broken record, especially when newer products come out and everybody's all, whoa! I'm like, yeah, but I showed you guys ages ago how to do it. Which leads me to convince people don't actually listen. I mean, I'm not sure why that is, but... short-term memories, I guess. Short-term memories. Oh no. Paint water all over my seat. Oh, freaking hair is getting long. I gotta keep tying it back, otherwise it gets in my face. Oh, excuse me. Alright, we're gonna take some regular run-of-the-mill Wild Rider Red. I'm gonna throw that into the airbrush. This is regular Citadel stuff. This isn't the airbrush. Like I said, I don't know if they have an airbrush Wild Rider Red. I just looked through what I had for Citadel Air and I didn't see it, but I also have the first iteration of Citadel Air. So, yeah. All right, we're gonna need to thin this. What are we thinning this with? We're gonna thin it with, yeah, we're gonna use some of this. Well, you know what? I could. Where is that bottle? Yeah, I guess I'll just use this. I often use this one here. For thinning Citadel colors through the airbrush. It's nice and watery. You can see here how it sloshes around. But, yeah. I use it. It's fun. I mean, you can use just water to thin this down, but I find that when you use just water to thin down Citadel colors in the airbrush, they tend to just lose all tension and it just spider webs everywhere on the surfaces. So it's kind of annoying. So I'm just taking it by a brush dollop and just slap it into the surface. You know what? I'm going to take 2 drops. Could also use the eyedropper and draw it out, but I find with Citadel paint, because it's so heavy bodied, you know, it doesn't really flow that well. Now with this stuff here, I'm going to thin this way down. It's probably about a 1-to-1 mix. And you can see how it's really, really watery in the pot. It's a water-based acrylic thinner, so it interacts with the Citadel colors just fine. It's not going to, you know, do anything weird. And we're just going to give it a nice thorough mix. It's a little bit overly thin, but it's okay. I'm not looking to do too much here. Alright, I didn't mask off the area though. Oops. Yeah, we better mask off the area. Okay, so we'll set this aside for a second. And let's grab our trusty rusty tape. Should start right here. That's why I remove a lot of the tackiness so they can, oops, adjust on the fly, as it were. Man. Son of a bitch. There we go. That's a little closer. Yep. There. Now at the front. Where's my razor? I'm going to take a little bit of this. Push that in just there. Ever so slightly. And yeah, we're not too worried about the seam. But we will move it down the face just a bit. Oh, you know what? I gotta do the nose piece, I guess, right? So, all right, fine. Let's do it then. Let's do it. So come around here. That. All right. Just need a little bit more tape, and we'll be good to go. Again, just take off the tackiness. Hopefully that doesn't come back and bite me in the ass, but let's do that. Grab another piece, just to protect off most of the yellow we can. And right about there, we should be good. Just protect us from some of the overspray. Oh shit. There we go. Surprisingly, or not surprising, is that how sticky the tape is to this glove. All right. All right. Now we need to turn this down a bit. Had it at my flushing PSI. A little too high. There we go. So we'll use a bit of this, and God sakes. There we go. So let's go like so. To be honest with you, it's hard to see that highlight, but it is there. But it is hard to see. But that's okay, because it's actually a little bit more subtle than how I likes things. And I'm just going to go down the seam line where the two colors meet. Is this even coming out? Nope, there we go. Yeah, you can kind of see it on camera. It's a little bit brighter towards those edges. That's what we're looking for. So, come over here. Spray the top down of the face. Build this up right through the center here. Concentrating close to the grill. Yeah, it's flowing. It's probably because I just went really, really thin on this. It's hard to see this transition. It is there, though. The first time I did this, did I lay that down? Man, I don't even know. Oh, lots of dry tip. I don't really recommend using a paper towel to clear the dry tip, but if it's all you got, it's all you got. It's flowing funny. Too much there. It's okay though. All of a sudden, I just got this spurt of thin material. For whatever reason, it's flowing better now. Okay. Actually, it's not too bad. I'm okay with that. So now we're going to try and get some of these other areas here. Catch just this edge of this exhaust. Just like that. Shoulder pad. Hand. Toe. Just like that. It's not bad. Yeah, I think that's what I might have done the first time I laid this paint down. Was use some Citadel color straight out of the bottle. So now, that's that. Done with that highlight. Zip TV. Gotta shoot. Thanks for the tips, Chris. Glad to see you again. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Turn this up. It's floosh. Time we got here. Oh, it's 2 minutes, or 1 minute after 2. Or 3, actually. And I can't even tell time. Okay. Wipe a view. Some Windy X. Feeling the beginnings of a clog in there. I'm going to have to properly clean that later. So, with that, I think we're done for the moment. I may come back on later today if I feel like working some more on this guy, because I am kind of excited to get this guy done. I think I'm as far as I want to go as far as airbrushing is concerned. Unless, of course, I do, some more. But, yeah. So, with that, take this glove off. Frickin' hand is just sweaty inside there. We didn't even get to the bolt gun today. But, yeah. I think for the most part, I'm happy with where this is all going. Let's pull off some of this tape here. And there we go. Yeah, we're kind of back to where he was when I was initially working on him. But I'm much happier now with some of the color. The contrast. Some areas, like here on the face, I don't know. I'm not 100% behind that. It's kind of the pain, though, of trying to use the airbrush and get into some of these little nooks and crannies. It's just, a little bit of a pain without, overly masking everything. But, I mean, like I said, I'm not, not too worried about, that. I think for the most part, though, it's where I want them. I think we can just build out some of these transition a bit more. And yeah, so I think with that, that's pretty much where I'm going to stop for the moment. Airbrush is flushed. I am going to probably have to have a look-see, make sure that that's not clogged or anything like that, because it's starting to feel like the beginnings of a clog in there. But anywho, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I may jump on later today again. Maybe do a bit more work on them. All depends. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal it next. Before I go any further, I think. I'm going to just give it a gloss seal. He's going to have a matte finish afterwards, but I think I'm going to give it a gloss seal because I was thinking of doing like some sponging, but I don't know now. I don't know. It's hard to say. Also, I'm not really a big fan of having to hold on to it. I'm used to, having something it adhere to so I can actually do stuff with it. If I get into hand painting, I think... Oh, that was the other thing. I was going to do the eyes. Yeah, we might get that. We might do that today. Because I was planning on doing most of the airbrushing for the eyes. Doing that, obviously by airbrush. Because I was going to do some gradient. I was going to do like a bit of a gem effect. But if you get your suggestions in time, should the eyes be blue or should they be green? What color are they on a Howling Griffin? I'll probably give it a look afterwards, but yeah, let me know. Anywho, I'm done for now. You guys enjoy the rest of your quarantine days, as it were, and I'm going to, jump off now. I'm going to go grab some lunch. Getting kind of hungry. I'll see you guys later. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Nobody's guessed at what that song is yet, eh?